The sin had robbed him of everything of value, and it left him hopeless and helpless. And that's how sin treats its victims. Eventually, it leaves you hopeless and helpless. You realize at some point down the line that, you know what? I just wasted a whole lot of life, energy, and time being where I was. That's why we can say as Christians, it pays to live for God. But it also pays to live for the devil, because what it pays is what the Bible calls the wages of sin. And we know that as death, but the road to that death is cruel as well. It could include broken lives, ruined marriages, shattered dreams, damaged trust, health problems, hopelessness, depression, defeat. That's all on the paycheck. You know how you get your paycheck stub and it's got all those little lines on there of different things? Those are all the things you get from sin. Sin will take you farther than you want to go and keep you longer than you want to stay and cost you more than you want to pay. You don't have enough to pay for it. So this boy finds himself in a bad situation. He says to himself, I'm sitting here in a pig pen, and I can't believe that I've wasted all that inheritance my father gave me. I've wasted all this time living like I was crazy. That's why it says at one point he came to himself. And that simply means, like in the cartoons, you ever see where the character gets the little light bulb over their head? Meaning, oh, I got it. That would make sense. All of a sudden, the son gets this little light bulb over his head and says, you know what? I just realized something. I am really stupid. I don't belong here. I should have never come here. I should have known better. What was I thinking? So here he is. He's got no home. He's got no help. He's got no hope. Nobody cares about him anymore because all his money's gone and all his friends are gone. He's starving. He's probably having to share food with the pigs, which is horribly embarrassing to a Jewish young man. And he's suffering. He made choices and he's suffering. As my mom would say in her old expressions, he made his bed and now he's lying in it. He brought it on himself. When you touch the stove and somebody tells you it's hot and you touch it anyway, there is no fault to be given to anyone but you. Simple as that. And he knew better. We're sure he did. Sin brings sadness. Nobody cares if this young man is alive or dead. And it's sad because nothing really hurts as badly as seeing a life that was full of potential and seeing it go down the wrong path and get ruined. Many of us have friends or relatives like that where we know that they could have been something. Like, who was it? Marlon Brando in the Streetcar Named Desire says, I could have been a contender. I could, on the waterfront. Thank you. I should ask my wife. She knows every movie in the world. And I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody. This young man could have been somebody. He could have been the head of this whole father's empire, if you will, or at least co-head of it with his brother. And they could have expanded it, made it even more greater than it was. But no, he made the wrong choice. So what happens? Well, like I said, he says he came to himself. He realized, I'm crazy. I haven't been thinking right. He says, you know what? I just realized even my father's servants at home got it better than I do. At least they got a roof over their head and some food. Look what I got. Nothing. He goes, what am I going to do? Well, there's only one thing I can do. I can eat the humble pie, as the expression goes, and go home to the Father. Maybe, if I'm lucky, he'll take me back. I know he ain't going to want me back as a son, I don't think. But maybe he can just give me a job as a servant, and at least I'll have a place to live and food, and I'll be better off than I am here in this mess. It's better than nothing. It's surprising how good a little thing can be when you have a little of nothing. That little item suddenly becomes wonderful. So The son thought to himself, you know something? I'm just going to go home. I'm going to ask forgiveness. I'm going to ask the Father if he'll take me back and hope for the best. And that's the first step that a sinner has to take to get out of sin, is to realize that where I am is not good. I got to get out of this. I'm in a bad place here. When you take a look around, they start seeing that, you know what, God's servants are kind of happy. They have hope. They're not in bondage. They have their provisions met. Why don't I go over there? There's a good place to be. There's a place where I can be taken care of. Somebody will care about me.